Hello and welcome. In today's video, we are showing the MG5, the largest gauge in the make gauge lineup. We're going to take a look at the hardware, the functionalities, the specifications, how you would set this up, and how this gauge operates in your manufacturing facility. Right after this. Starting with the laser sensor heads. First of all, with all laser thickness gauges, there's a fundamental principle. The closer the laser is to the material, the more accurate you are. However, if it's too tight, you're going to have a difficult time feeding the sheet through, and it can just be difficult to manage that way. So in this particular setup, these sensors are pretty much the closest that we would ever put on an MG5. We call these our 50mm Pro sensors. That gives an air gap of 4 inches. However, that air gap gets reduced when we add the air purge covers on the top and bottom. So these covers then, putting airflow to keep the sensors automatically clean, reduce the opening that's available. So that reduces it to about 2.5 inches for this configuration. So pretty tight. But what that gives you is high accuracy. So for thinner materials, where you can put this configuration in, you can hit an accuracy of 4 microns, or about 0.2 of a thou, so super high accuracy. For environments where either the material is thicker or less controlled, we open up that air gap. We go to our 150mm Pro sensors, which gives a gap of 10 inches, or about 250 millimeters. Accuracy goes down a bit, but still very accurate for those types of environments. So that's kind of the configurations that we are changing with the MG5 in terms of the sensor standoff. Other things to point out, this sensor head up here, we're about 4 inches or 100 millimeters, 7 inches high, 175 millimeters in height. So a larger C-frame, and compared to our MG3, the head of the C-frame is a lot larger. Naturally, we just need that support because of the length of the C-frame. So just bear that in mind when we're designing around conveyors, that we do have a larger C-frame. But that covers the sensor end of the C-frame, and we'll show you now the full extension of the C-frame. So here is the C-frame fully extended. The total distance from the line unit here, this location, to where that laser is fully extended, is 88 inches. Of course, in practice, your material is going to need to be less than that. We have to leave some space to go around conveyors and to travel back and forth. But that's the absolute max, is 88 inches. You can also see in this configuration the design of the C-frame. This frame has been made super light, super stiff to reduce vibrations. We often get asked, hey, what about vibrations on a C-frame this size? So in part, thanks to a great C-frame design, we minimize and reduce the amount of those vibrations, but otherwise we are using some filtering and averaging and software. It's just the reality of having a frame this size that we do that to reduce any impacts. With a large C-frame like this MG5 comes a large line unit. The cabinet that the C-frame retracts, parks into when not in use, keeps it protected. Dimensions of this line unit, 112 inches in length, 14 inches wide, and 35 inches in height. An important feature in the MG5 scanning laser thickness gauge is the thickness reference, or the TR. The TR is built right into the gauge and allows for the sensors to measure a precise reference point when they retract from the target material. This feature is a game changer because it compensates for any thermal expansions in the scanning frame or any area of the measurement. It ensures measurement accuracy is never compromised, even under challenging conditions. The TR is typically scanned every 2 to 5 minutes and takes about 5 seconds to complete, and this significantly enhances the system's robustness and consistency. One of the maintenance items when you're working with a laser thickness gauge is cleaning the bottom sensor. We have air purge and alarming to show you if there's any contamination that's being built up. But from time to time, the operators are going to have to get in there and clean the glass. So to do that, there's access doors. To retract the sensor, there's either a cleaning button, physical, or on the touch screen. C-frame comes back, and then you have this access point. The great thing of the door is that it disengages the motor, and now we're away from the line. So this is an operation that can be done while the line is running. The cleaning method is, depending on the environment, can be just a dry safety wipe, a lint-free wipe. And if there is emulsion or other forms of material that can be more sticky, then we'll add some isopropyl alcohol. So just a quick wipe of the glass to get the contamination off, closing it, and then closing the door. There is an enable switch on our larger machines for safety reasons, so then you would re-enable the gauge and the scanning would automatically resume. Utilities connection for the MG5 is super simple. We have a regular 120 volt power line going to the line unit itself, and a separate one going to the HMI. What those two separate lines allow is, if there's an e-stop or the gauge itself is shut down for any maintenance conditions, completely cuts power, allows the HMI to still be running, prevents that a lot of power cycling from happening to our display. And then when the power is turned back on, everything will just recover. We also use pressurized air with this machine. The air is used for two purposes. One is the air purge to keep the glass clean, and we also use that air for a really great feature to do with temperature control. So both sensors have a temperature sensor and a heating and cooling system built into them that keeps the temperature locked within 0.1 degrees Celsius. And so basically, as far as those sensors can tell, they're pretty much operating in lab-like conditions where they don't experience any broad fluctuations. And the benefits to this: keeps accuracy more stable, it makes the lifetime of the whole sensors longer, and it allows the gauge to run in hotter environments. So that's a really important feature. And another reason why we use the pressurized air. So there is a pressurized air that supports that cooling portion of the temperature control. The MG5 can also include an option called the sheet trigger. And what the sheet trigger is a sensor that will see when the next sheet is coming through the gauge. So this is useful in facilities where they're manufacturing sheets rather than continuous coil. By knowing that the sheet is coming, the gauge can then tag all the results to be with that sheet, and can also start scanning at the ideal time, so it's maximizing the measurement locations across that sheet. So that's a really nice addition called the sheet trigger, which helps synchronize the motion of the gauge with sheets as they pass through it. And that summarizes the MG5. I hope that was helpful to show the features and functionality, and really communicates to you the advantages of what's been built into this gauge and how it makes it a turnkey system to be installed in your factory. If you'd like to receive the drawings and talk with us in detail about putting this into your manufacturing line, please contact us, and we would be happy to begin that conversation with you and see you using this machine in your facility.